It's MC Noble. Welcome back to another live. Today we're going to be previewing a song that I wrote this morning. Just a little bit of a different song. Not something that I usually do, and I just thought it would be something different, something that would maybe just I don't know. I don't usually do sort of like emotional kind of songs, but there is like a topic that I've had a couple of experiences with that I'm through now, so I don't sort of mind talking about it. But the song itself doesn't explain my experiences with this topic. The song is just kind of talking about. It's basically for anyone. The subject of the song is about suicide, and the song is just basically for anyone who might be considering it, who might be in a bit of a low place, and who might not think that they have a life worth living for. And obviously, I mean, people commit suicide, for various different reasons. So this song might not exactly like relate to them. For example, in the song, I say that they have a family that loves them, but the case might be that that particular person may not have a family that loves them. Could have maybe been brought up under adoption, or whatever reason might be on the streets due to reasons that aren't their fault. Maybe that's why they're feeling down. They might not have necessarily have someone to turn to, but in all sort of normality, when you're going through something, there usually is people who can give you advice, friends and family who can help you through. I know if I ever got into a place like that again, I know people would help me. I know that I'd have lots of friends that would support me, and that's usually the case with some people. I mean, suicide can happen from all different points of views. Some bloke could have found out, or woman could have found out that their partner's cheated on them, and for example, that could absolutely tear them apart. And they might not think that there's a life living for without that particular person. Maybe a family member dies, and they're struggling to get through with that family member dying, or maybe it could be self-inflicted. Maybe they've done some bad stuff, and then maybe people have turned against them for the bad stuff they've done, and then maybe they feel down because they wish they hadn't done the bad stuff, and then it all relates. I mean, I don't need to explain every possible way people going through the situation, but I have experienced it a couple of times. One time was kind of myself. It wasn't like I sort of in a way class it as suicide, but it wasn't as such suicide. Now, basically, when I went into year 7 in school, I got heavily bullied. And, I didn't just have the odd names called at me. I was pushed, I was kicked. I had my school PE kit thrown in the showers. I was pushed over and my shoes taken off me and chucked in the bin. People would, in the dinner hall, they'd pick up my dinner lunch and, like pretend that they accidentally knocked it over, but not accidentally knocking it over. People would call me names, poke my back, flick my ear. And, at first I was kind of like, it's just a bit of banter, and then it got worse and worse, and I started to get down about it. I got to the point where it was really eating me up inside, and the thing that kind of upset me a bit was the fact that an older cousin of mine was at school, the same school as me, and I tried to go and see him. He was with a load of mates, and I tried to go and hang about with him at school, and he basically said I was attention seeking. In other words, he sort of in a way didn't believe that I was getting he didn't believe that I was getting bullied as such, like, to a bad extent. And it got to the point where I stopped eating. It got to the point where I was skipping meals. I'd come home and I'd just go upstairs, go into my room, and just kind of, in a way, just lay there and forget about the day. I didn't want to say much about it because I didn't feel like talking about it. So in the long run, I was kind of, in a way, like, harming myself, like in a way that could have eventually killed me, because I was I was massively skipping meals to the point where, like, most days I would hardly eat anything. To the point where I was, to the point where I was starving myself, but I felt that sick and fed up that I still didn't feel hungry. So I didn't feel like the starving was an issue for me. Um, and anyway, to cut the story short, I did eventually tell my dad about it, and he went into school, and it did eventually get sorted. And now a lot of them bullies actually look up to me as a good MC, and also, we're just sound and we get along now. And it was years ago. I mean, it's still hard to forgive them, and I still sort of look at them and hate them for what they did, but at the same time, I still kind of think like it was years ago now. We've all grown up since then. I mean, looking back, I did do some daft things at school. What, probably would encourage people to take the mick and have a laugh, as you know. But when I got into about year nine, well, I mean, like, well, after like it formally stopped, like the worst of it stopped, but there were still the odd people what would have a little bit of a joke and call names, but I felt better about it and I just learnt to deal with it, ignore it. I'd made some new friends and I was quite happy with these friends and I just felt a bit stronger. But for some reason in year nine, I had a big fallout with a best friend of mine. I can't remember why we fell out, but we had a big fallout to the extent where we were having a massive arguments on Facebook, and I had a friend who I've sort of known like most of my school life. He's looked out for me as best as he could, and I sort of started like hanging about with him. Like I always like he was a good friend of mine, but his mum knew my mum. So that's kind of how we were sort of friends. But then he kind of had his own like group of friends at school. So I kind of felt like he just knew me as mums knew each other kind of thing. And like at school, like he maybe didn't want to be seen hanging about with me because I wasn't a cool kid. However, I started hanging about with him a bit more. I started, talking to him, and he realised that my mate I'd fallen out with this mate, and this mate was being a bit tough on me. He's been a bit bullying, and he was writing statuses on Facebook about how he hated me and all of this stuff, and like it just writes statuses and saying, don't you think, this person, meaning me, is such a retard and stuff like this. And anyway, I got into a little bit of a group of friends and I never looked back, to be completely honest. Now, me and the guy who I had the massive fallout with, we are friends now. We've never been as good friends since, but we are, we're older now, we're friends, we don't have childish arguments. Get along, we message from time to time on Facebook, how you doing, that sort of thing. And he has a girlfriend and a kid now, all of that sort of stuff, which it's all good, it's all fine and dandy. Um, and pretty much it's just how it goes. It's one good thing after the other, and stuff like that. But yeah, ever since then, the bullying seemed to stop at school. I became the lad. Everyone was like, "Oh, noble mate, you're a sound kid," all of that stuff. So I never looked back. And then the second time that I dealt with suicide wasn't me, but a family member of mine did unfortunately take his life. Now I was a little bit mixed about this because the person who took his life had made some bad choices that didn't really, how can I put this, that like I liked him, but he wasn't really well liked at the time when he took his life by me, if that makes sense. He did some stuff and he wasn't in a good place, but because of his own fault, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is he made some bad choices, and he did some bad regretful things that I didn't like him for. So essentially for one, he was a woman beater. Um, yeah, a woman beater, which meant that if he had basically it was a stepdad of mine, and if he had an argument with my mum, he'd get quite violent, and he did some bad stuff. I'll name one of them. He had an argument with my mum, and he strangled her in front of my two little twin sisters. and they experienced him grabbing my mum and choking her by the neck essentially. And a few times in the past as well, he's kicked walls in. Like punched doors and, punched dints in the wall, and, he's wrote stuff on the wall and stuff like that. And, he's done, he pretended to try and kill himself once before, years ago, but he hadn't actually done it. And I don't think this time when he did do it, that he was actually meant to do it. I think he was kind of pretending again, like attention seeking. But I think unfortunately, I think he was drunk, and I think he'd done it as a pretend, and I think he fell to sleep, and then I think obviously like how he positioned himself like really like he'd put like something around his neck, like to try and stop him breathing. But I think he was just going to pretend, and he'd had a bit to drink, and I think he fell to sleep in that position, and I think he would have like gone down like that, and the thing would have tightened around his neck and would have actually, do you know what I mean? So I was a bit upset because obviously quite a bit before all the violence and stuff that he did, he was really into his music. He gave me all of his vinyl records, which I still hold them today. He never harmed me. He never he never got angry at me. He was never violent towards me. He was never exactly what you would call violent when I was there. I'd never physically seen him get violent. I'd seen him maybe get a bit angry, but that was all. But obviously, like, I know that he was violent because I had seen dints in the doors and things, and I had seen goings on and stuff like that, if you get what I mean. But yeah, they're the two times that I've really had to deal with it. I was a bit upset at the time, stroke not. Like, I was a bit mixed. Like, I didn't know, like, whether I should have been, like, really upset, or whether I should kind of have been like, oh, I'm kind of glad that he's, because in a way, like, now I'm kind of glad it's all over, that he's not being violent anymore and stuff like that. But then I did know deep down that there was a sound guy deep through all of that skin. And anyway, before he had obviously taken his life, think it got to the point where my mum had gone to the police, obviously, and he wasn't allowed to go anywhere near my mum. He weren't allowed to have any contact with the kids. My mum had to move house and all of that stuff, and was living with her mum and all this, that, and the other. And the thing, what it was is my mum wanted to get out of the relationship. And my stepdad didn't want to get out of the relationship. He loved my mum that, like, he used to harm my mum, but he loved her that much that he couldn't let go. So deep down, he did actually physically love her. Like, it wasn't he didn't hate her and he didn't just beat her for the fun of it. It was all sort of, in a way, I guess you'd say, true love. But he just didn't. It wasn't right. He just wasn't. He just weren't right in the head. He was ill. In other words, he was ill towards the end. And if he'd have just given himself chance to sort himself out, there could have possibly have been a chance for him to get his life back on track. But he was following my mum about when he weren't supposed to be seeing her, and he was, he'd be like secretly like trying to get hold of her and nagging her to meet him and this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. And it just all went in the end. So anyway, I'm going to preview, guys, this song, because I know there's a lot of people what struggle and go through the same thing. When it loads. And this is for all you that struggle to go through maybe a similar thing. Maybe you've lost a family member through that same reason, or maybe there's been times where you felt like, jumping off a bridge or picking a rope up. And yeah, we just have a little bit of we're back to 4G again. Just bear with me. This is not too good, is it? Alright, let's go. Yo! I know you're struggling, I know you can't cope, but listen to me, just put down the rope. I'm telling you, don't put it round your neck. You'll be taken to heaven, you'll have regret when you can have a better life. I said maybe a kid and maybe a wife and a good little job that's paying off nice. Just drop the knife to cut up for a slice. I know what you're going through really ain't nice, but there's people out there to give you advice, people out there to help you get through. A good nice family that cares about you. Don't jump off the bridge and leave them missing you. People with advice you need to listen to before you're 6 feet under and everyone's grieving for you. I don't reckon suicide's for you. So there we go, guys. That's pretty much all it is. Not planning to do anything major with it. Just wrote it for a bit of fun. Won't be any like studio version of it. I'm not gonna like rap to the whole song. But I gave it a go for a little bit of, you know, whatever. And yeah. And anyway, I've just had a friend request from somebody. Yeah, just had a friend request from somebody. And wow. OMG. Why do I have a feeling. Oh my god. OMG. I have a feeling that this year is going to be my year, you know. Oh, go on. Wow. Yeah, you guys may not know this, but the guy who I've just had a friend request off, well, what can I say? It's there's two ways this could go. The person who's friend requested me could just be friend requesting me for friend requesting me. That probably don't make sense. This guy could be friend requesting me just to send me a normal friend request, like just, you know, because he's seen me MC essentially, or this could getting this friend request could mean something that could be quite good in terms of gig wise. Alright, yeah, so basically this guy is called Paul Mr. Q Strickland. Now he does events called Mr. Q, and basically like MC Inners and MC Ken Dog, all basically MC at his events to do live gigs. He's got one coming up in March in Middlesbrough. So I have a pretty good feeling that not in March, but if he does another one in like another time, I have a good feeling that he could possibly put me on the lineup. Like it just because the thing that's weird is right. There's a really weird suspicion. Right, something like that must be given a good sign has happened to me just over the past 24 hours. Right. I wasn't going to talk about this because I thought maybe I'm bluffing, you know, maybe I'm just thinking a little bit too daftly. But essentially, I was doing a stream yesterday on Minecraft and I was talking about needing to get myself out there a bit more. People like Sound of the Northeast, basically like featuring me, and you know, other people featuring me. Prior to that, I said that I was going to send Sound of the Northeast a video of mine. So I officially sent Sound of the Northeast a video of me. I sent in my Pat Flinders, and they never got back to me. Never got back to me. So I was thinking like, oh, you know, they're probably not interested. So I got a notification through on my iPad earlier today saying someone had mentioned me in a comment section, and it was Sound of the Northeast's video, and they had featured me. But the weird suspicion is they didn't upload the video that I sent them. they uploaded a different MC that I'd like done a couple of days ago, that I'd recorded a video of and put on Instagram and sent to official Sound of the Northeast on Instagram, which is like, it's not the actual Sound of the Northeast. I think it's just another person who just sort of like, in a way, like copies them but like puts them on Instagram. Like, I don't know, it could be the same group, I'm not sure, but this guy posts like loads of MCs and stuff like that. And I've just been mentioned in another comment now. This is weird as this. Who is this? Oh, check who has visited your profile. Alright, I don't really know, but I've not visited this person's profile. Anyway, the point I'm coming across at is the fact that they uploaded a completely different MC to what I sent them. So like, they must have like, because as far as I'm aware, they didn't know who I was. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never actively like ever commented on Sound of the Northeast and said, oh, I'm an MC. I've just occasionally shared, videos that they put on. So I thought it was weird how they never even looked at the message that I sent them, but they uploaded a completely different MC of mine. Plus, this page uploads a lot of MCs that are going to be at this event in March. And then, suspiciously enough, the guy who runs the events now sends me a friend request after I've been featured on the Sounds of the Northeast. So I'm not saying anything is definite to come out of it, but it does get you thinking that they post me a different song than what I actually sent to them, and pretty much I then get a friend request from a guy who hosts events. It just kind of slightly, in a way, I guess, can get you thinking. So, do you know what I mean? What can I say? How can I say, like, it just seems a little weird. Like, I don't know, maybe, I mean, I don't know, but I don't know exactly, like, what I can say, but... Who's Paul? Oh, right, yeah, I'm with it now. I'm just going to send him a message, and I'm just going to say thanks for the friend request anyway. Thanks for the friend request, bro. And then I'll just like... Oh yeah, and I've also just added MC Finchy as well. Because why not? Why not? Yeah, gotta get in there, aren't you? What can I say? What can I actually say? Just gonna put your MC in. Just to MC Frenchie. I'm a nice person. I might have dissed Pat Flynn, but I'm a nice person. Trust me. Yeah, and then I'll just say thanks to the friend request from this Paul, Mr. Q. I mean, the fact that I may be like interested in the event might have just caused them to send me a friend request so I could get notified more about the event that he's putting on in March. But I don't know, it's just a little weird. Like, I guess I'll find out, won't I? Do want to do gigs this year though, so let's hope like people can get me. Do you know what I mean? What can I say? There we go.
You don't look as if you've been home.
I haven't. I felt something out really bad yesterday.
Clearly you think there's something I should hear. What is it, Debbie?
Joe's dead.
Tell me exactly what happened.
He's dead. My dad killed him.
Oh! I don't even know why, but